Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk coming at you on a Friday. And it is a victory Friday, Mitch Holtis.
The runner's toe hit out of bounds. It's an incomplete pass. The game is over.
Sean Hockley, I've never loved you more, brother. Incomplete, and Kansas City wins this game by a toenail.
Asked the question last night on the instant reaction, how big are your feet? If you're Isaiah Likely, the answer is too big. And that's why the Kansas City Chiefs are 1-0. So it is a victory Friday and a football Friday here on 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, and Spencer Dupuis. We look cool as hell in our aviators in the main studio. We said we'd do Victory Aviators.
Hell yeah.
I'm an aviator guy now. Like I really feel like now that I've looked at myself in the mirror wearing these,
man,
it's really changed me. Like
it's a personality trait.
It is. Like there's the me that I was before I owned aviator sunglasses, and there's the me that I am now.
I agree.
Two distinctly different people.
I feel like Batman. I put on the mask.
No one knew or cared who I was before I put on the aviators. We've got so much football to talk about on today's show today, and we're so glad you're with us here on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. We want to hear from you today, Chiefs fans. Hit us up in the Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429. You can also, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, comment live. We can interact in the YouTube comments and interact on Facebook as well. Again, that YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. The Chiefs are winners. It came down to the wire, and the more that I have thought about it, the more I think it really shouldn't have. And the reason it did is because some old bugaboos kind of cropped up for the Chiefs. But by and large, over the course of that 60 minutes of football, it was pretty obvious who the better team was.
Agreed.
And it was pretty obvious that the Chiefs offensively are going to be a lot better than they were in 2023. We will talk about what we liked, what we didn't like quite as much, and react top to bottom to the Chiefs' victory 27-20 over the Baltimore Ravens last night at Arrowhead Stadium. Matt Derrick is going to join us this hour from ChiefsDigest.com. He is our Chiefs insider. He will join us at the bottom of this hour. We'll get his thoughts. He was at Arrowhead last night. We'll get his up-close and personal thoughts on the Chiefs' season opening victory. So lots of Chiefs stuff to get to here in this opening hour. Lots more football to get to, the first full football weekend. I know, Brendan, you are more of a football guy than I am. I'm always been a baseball guy. Baseball's my first love. It's my favorite sport. And that's not to say I don't love the rest of them. In fact, I do very much. I don't think you can do this, what we do for a living, without having some kind of love for all of them. But you don't realize, I think, for some people, how much you miss the NFL. And then that first game arrives and it hits like cocaine in the 80s. Like, it just is an adrenaline rush. And last night gave us 3.5 hours of pure, uncut NFL adrenaline. And I'm so glad it's back.
It's a spectacle.
It is. And we got a full weekend of it. We got a full weekend of college football. It is our first full football weekend of the season. We're going to make our Prairie Band Sportsbook 580 Sports Talk picks later on in the show, give you our 5 best bets for the weekend. We will talk about KU and K-State, both of whom are going on the road for some interesting tests in their second games this season, and talk about the intriguing college football NFL games on deck for the weekend. Speaking of K-State, earlier this week, I spoke with senior defensive lineman Brendan Mott, and we're going to hear that interview later on in the 4 o'clock hour, my conversation with the Iowa native and man who had a sack in K-State's season opening win last Saturday over Tennessee Martin, Brendan Mott. Also coming on the show,
obviously, by the way, very intelligent, very good looking, very talented, nominative determination, of course.
It is Brendan with an A at the end.
That's right.
Some people give you the O.
Yeah, people spell it with an O. I get Brandon all the time. No. Get it right. Get it right.
BRENDAN.
I feel confident in saying that because I'm wearing a slick denim jacket.
Wasn't there somebody
aviators
at this very station?
We had a coworker
who never called you by the right name the whole time they were here?
We had a coworker who was under the assumption my name was Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Someone wished me a happy birthday on Facebook the other day and called me Brandon. And like, I appreciate the thought, but also my name is literally right in front of you.
Yeah.
The coworker one, that one, y'all, we work like 20 feet apart. How do you not know? How do you not know?
Unless they did it like a couple times and then they just started pulling it as a bit and you didn't know.
I would have so much more respect if it had been a bit, but I am certain it was not.
We'll get to some Royals talk in the 5 o'clock hour. Big weekend series at the K for the Royals against Minnesota. Hunter Renfroe back in the Royals lineup after an injury absence. That's a big return for the Royals. We'll preview that weekend a little bit. We will also, in the 5 o'clock hour, get you ready for high school football. Our first Lewis Toyota game of the week is tonight. You'll hear it over on our sister station, Classic Country 106.9. It's the War on 24. You don't need to say anything more than that. It's Rossville at Silver Lake at C.J. Hamilton Field. Myself and Spencer Dupuis on the broadcast tonight. 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock kick from Silver Lake. Again, you can catch that on our sister station, Classic Country 106.9. The other 8 Shawnee County schools, all the Topeka area schools, also open their seasons tonight. And each week, I will speak with each of them for what we call the 580 Preps Coaches Club. Now, if you want to hear it in its entirety, you'll be able to do so every Friday on our website, 580wibw.com. Just go find that 580 Preps Coaches Club link and click on it and listen to the entire show. But we're also going to bring it to you as part of our pregame coverage for high school sports here on WIBW. Now, we don't have the game on WIBW tonight because we do have Royals baseball, pregame at 6:30, first pitch at 7:10 from Kauffman Stadium. But what we do have is overtime. So we're going to play the Coaches Club the first half of the show for our final half hour of the program, and the second half of the show as our 580 Sports Talk overtime conversation of the day. So as you're driving out to wherever you might be headed to watch high school football tonight, whether you're going out to see Washburn Rural take on Shawnee Heights, maybe you're heading east to see Hayden battle Eudora in what should be a great game, or you're traveling to see Care Paravel in their first 11-man game against West Franklin. Wherever you're going in the city, we got a preview. We've got your coach. You can tune in from about 5:35 or so until about 6:30 or so, and we'll have the 580 Preps Coaches Club for you tonight to get you ready for the first high school football Friday of the season. Plus all the things you've come to know and love from a Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk, including On Second Thought and the crowning of a What Is Wrong With You weekly champion. Again, the comments on the YouTube live chat are open. If you're watching us on YouTube, the channel 580 Sports Talk, and you can hit us up on the Top City Mail Supply text line, 785-272-9429. Chiefs 27, Ravens 20. And watching the game, certainly in the first half, I had the feeling Chiefs ought to be up way more than 3 points.
Talk about it.
At the intermission. It felt pretty obvious in the first 30 minutes who was the better team. But the Chiefs, frustratingly, had continued a bit of a 2023 theme. Well, a couple of 2023 themes. Number one was the drop passes. We saw Isaiah Pacheco drop a possible touchdown. We saw Juju Smith-Schuster drop a possible touchdown, though in that case, good contact made by the defensive back made that a tougher play. We'll give the defensive back credit. Those guys practice too. Also, red zone inefficiency, something that plagued the Chiefs at times last year. They turned a turnover in the red zone in plus territory into only 3 points. They also had a turnover on downs at midfield, could only turn that into 3 points. So that was frustrating as well. The Chiefs had the balance of possession. They were certainly better on offense in the first half, but had just a 13-10 lead to show for it going into the break. And with an opportunity to blow the game open late with a 2-score lead, a 4th and 5 at the Baltimore 40, Andy Reid does what Andy Reid too often does. Turtled a little bit, played it conservatively, brought out the punter for a net gain of only 20 yards. And the result of the ensuing drive was a touchdown that cut the lead down to just 3 at 20-17. But the Chiefs would get their touchdown back. They would lead 27-20 in the final minutes, setting the stage for Isaiah Likely's touchdown that wasn't, because his feet are 1/2 size too big. But I think that the dramatic finish to the game will distract from the broad takeaway that I had. And it always feels good when your own eyeball test is validated by people who cover the NFL on an even higher level than we get to. And I read people from The Athletic today, and I read writers from The Ringer today, all come to the same conclusion that I came to. The Chiefs were a lot better than the Ravens. And the reason they were a lot better than the Ravens, the Chiefs offense is a whole lot better than it looked in 2023. Tyler makes a point in the YouTube live chat, 27 points without possibly the number one wideout on the team, Hollywood Brown. We can quibble with that last part. I think Rashee Rice makes it pretty clear last night. He's the number one wideout, but that was an incomplete offense who had their hands full up front in a way that they are not likely to for the balance of this season, because that Baltimore front is one of the best in the league. And they did about whatever they wanted and scored 27 points, and it could have been and should have been more. That, I thought, was the most promising thing about last night. This offense looks like the real thing.
They do, and this is also a situation, I'm trying to remember who the author was, who wrote the book about, keep your eye on the ball, or it's essentially how to watch football without just watching the ball and just watching the scoreboard. Because at the end of the day, what's most important? The final score. Who actually wins, who actually loses, obviously. However, if you dive in a little deeper, if you want to be the smart football, and maybe you just say, you know what? I'm just going to watch it. I'm going to let it wash over me. I'm going to see what the score is. I'm going to see just what they show on TV, and that's it. Totally fine. Totally understand. But if you want to dive in a little bit deeper to just how much the Chiefs dominated in this game, they already have the coaches film, the All 22, out there right now. NFL.com's new pro service. They get the coaches film out quickly. It is awesome. So that is already out there and available. And one example of this that I think is one of those like smart football things, Samaje Perine's drop. He's been with the team for an hour. Like, he's barely been with this franchise.
How many practices has he had? Not that many.
3,
Yeah.
if that. Like, if he had the timing down better, and he's a veteran, I don't think it would take all that long. He gets the timing down better on a blitz like that. The field is wide open in front of him. They didn't show it perfectly on the NBC broadcast. Baltimore brought a corner blitz. I'm watching the play right now. They bring a corner blitz from that side. 2 linebackers are the closest guys who are unmatched or not matched up on, coming all the way across the field. Closest one's on the hash. Perine's on the number. That's a touchdown, or at least first and goal inside the 10-yard line if Perine's able to hold on to that. That scheme, that is design, that is sequencing of plays. People complain about play calling a lot. When you call the plays, I think, is maybe what we should focus on more. So that's one example. It was a mistake, but the Chiefs were getting plays like that all day long. Rashee Rice, we can joke.
We talk about getting matchups.
Yeah, we joked about it on the Instant Reaction show last night on our YouTube channel, and I recommend you go check it out. But those slants were open all day because the Chiefs were able to get Rashee Rice matched up on either oversized safeties or linebackers. You are going to take that constantly all the time. Those matchups are going to be all open all the time. And when Hollywood Brown gets back and you have more vertical speed, boom, even more of that. One more quick thing, because I don't throw in a lot of information at you here. The expected points added from last night. It's a stat we like to refer to a lot. The NFL nerds bring that one up all the time. That's a very common advanced analytics stat that comes up. Expected points added. Remember last year, what was the big EPA number that came out of week 1 last season? You remember?
Yeah, it was Kadarius Toney being a -7 for one player.
Yeah, like -6.8. I don't know that that's ever happened before. Essentially, that says he gave up a touchdown on his own in a game in which the Chiefs lost by a single point. A lot of people raving about Lamar Jackson last night. Lamar was good.
I would even say great.
You've got some complaints. Yes, we'll get to there in a second. But last drive, I was impressed. Of course I'm impressed. Dude's been a 2-time MVP. He's an incredible player. There's no one who plays the game like he does. I would say I thought he was pretty good last night. He finished the game getting lapped by Patrick Mahomes in the advanced numbers. Completion percentage over expectation. Down in distance, how hard you throw it, how far you throw it. Mahomes 4.2, Lamar -0.8. And you don't need to know what the average is to know that's a big old gap. That is a gigantic gap. Expected points added total for the game. Lamar, 3.5. Patrick Mahomes, 13.8. He nearly quadrupled him.
And it felt like a great game for Lamar while you were watching it because he did all of the stuff that makes him a 2-time MVP, right? He was super elusive in the pocket. The Chiefs got really good push all night. The matchup between the Chiefs defensive line, Chris Jones in particular, and the Ravens offensive line was precisely the mismatch we thought it was going to be coming into the game. The only reason that wasn't reflected A in the stats and B on the scoreboard was because of Lamar Jackson's ability to escape pressure, to make throws on the run. He made some phenomenal plays last night. Also missed a couple throws, including one that could have maybe tied the game or won the game. But like part and parcel of Lamar Jackson experience. But as you just laid out, like Mahomes and the Chiefs offense was so much better. And a big part of that, Spencer, I know you want to pat yourself on the back for this, give yourself some flowers, and you deserve to. You were right on. Xavier Worthy made a huge impact right away, and it is going to be so much fun to see the Chiefs get him going.
Yeah, I am just so excited, and he's in one of my fantasy teams, and I just think right now the ability to take advantage of Hollywood Brown being out is huge for him. Because I don't necessarily know that he catches that touchdown if he's the guy on that route last night, if Hollywood Brown's there, if everything lines up the way that it does, if that's him. But I want to go back to Brendan's point here and your point about Lamar Jackson. Now,
I know you've been waiting for this all day.
I've been waiting for this all day. I normally do not agree with the takes that this man, Robert Griffin Three Sticks, gets off, but he had a very good take on Lamar Jackson, who he was teammates with for quite a few years at the end of his career in Baltimore, right? Probably friendly with him, but he's giving real takes here. Lamar Jackson came out this week and said, my legs weren't good enough in the postseason last year. I would have run all over them. I don't need to pass. Well, guess what? He ran all over them last night, had 122 rushing yards, and it still was not enough. It wasn't enough because he can't make the big time throws in the big moments. He had a wide open guy in the end zone for a touchdown, which after the game he said, I wasn't even trying to throw to him. I was trying to throw to somebody else, which, excuse me, that would have been way off if it was for the guy that he was saying it was for.
I wouldn't have admitted that.
Yeah, exactly. But like the point that I'm trying to make here and that RG3 makes in his tweet this morning is Lamar Jackson has to be the Superman for the Ravens. Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to be Superman for the Chiefs because of the way they have the playmakers on offense. And that's the bottom line for me.
Yeah, Lamar had to be that good in the pocket, like that kind of elusive. He had to make the play that he did to Isaiah Likely, and then Likely had to make the play after the catch that he did. That was the only other touchdown the Ravens scored outside of their scripted stuff. The Ravens scripted drive looked great. They got out of the scripted stuff, and the Chiefs kind of ate their lunch a little bit. I thought the Chiefs defense played better than maybe you were inclined to give it credit for immediately following the game, because you felt like, gosh, they didn't get any sacks. They almost gave up the game-winning touchdown at the end. They gave up that drive. Man, Lamar's great. Like, give him credit for doing well what he does well. But the Chiefs were able to limit that to just 20 points throughout the night because their cornerbacks played really well, and Leo Chanel did a great job as the spy. Those two positions in particular, Brendan, I know you wanted to point out.
Yeah, it's a credit to Steve Spagnuolo and the fact that he is so good and always has. Going back to the Giants days as a position coach, obviously with the Chiefs, not quite with the Rams, but they had other problems when he was the head coach there. Putting guys in a position where they're able to best use their talents. Leo Chanel, while I still have some concern, not worry, but some concerns, or I think there's more to be seen about him moving laterally, just moving left, moving right while facing and strafing the line of scrimmage. He's super athletic. He had, if not a 10, a 9.99 out of 10 on his relative athletic score at the combine. Freakish athlete. Mostly downhill. We talked about that just last week, I believe it was. Getting downhill is such a strength for him. And he's so quick. He's got so much explosion, and he pops you when he gets there. But he can jump. He's got long arms. We saw that on that knockdown in the fourth quarter. Just getting up, batting the ball away. Was not a good throw by Lamar, but he was right there and made the play on it. You're putting him in a spot as that spy on a running quarterback where you are saying, Leo, you might not be a true off-ball linebacker the way we used to talk about middle linebackers like an Urlacher or a Lewis or even a Fred Warner these days, although Warner's in his own class. But you're hyper-athletic. So what are we going to do? We're going to put you in a spot where your assignment is to always match up with the most athletic player on the other team, who just so happens to always have the ball, who you are already always watching. That's a good fit for him, and it'll be a different fit depending on the game. You know, against the Bengals next week, you know who's not a runner like Lamar Jackson, other than everyone? Joe Burrow. Like, he's going to be in the pocket a whole lot more often. So you're going to see a different role for Leo Chanel. But game to game, finding those matchups, huge. I also want to mention, I'm sorry to cut you off, real quick, the cornerbacks. And I thought Jalen Watson played a fine game.
He made one real good play down the field. Also got turned around on an underthrow, which that's a tough play for a defensive back. I'm not too mad about the PI there. He made a really good play on another downfield ball on Zay Flowers. For somebody who barely played in the preseason, I thought that was a good first game for him.
Who was banged up. And CB2, like you're not expecting prime Darrelle Revis out there as your second cornerback. I mean, it is what it is. It's CB2 for a reason. There are only so many true lockdown guys. Trent McDuffie's the best cornerback in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm willing to say. I know he doesn't get the pick numbers. I understand. Trent McDuffie is the best cornerback in the NFL. His coverage skills on the boundary, along with speed, the stickiness, the hands, all of that, what he can do, all those same things in the slot, which is not as easy as some people make it out to be, converting from one to the other. Frankly, there's a reason why a lot of safeties have an easier time converting to the slot than corners moving into the slot. And yet McDuffie, great there. No cornerback tackles better than Trent McDuffie. None of them. As bad as Deion Sanders was as a tackler, Trent McDuffie is good as a tackler, as a cornerback. You don't see that, man.
That play he made on the fourth down at midfield, like
perfect.
It was a goofy play call. At least it seemed like it. Then you go back and like, actually, this is really well set up, but Trent McDuffie gets off his block and makes a super tackle that not every cornerback, there aren't more than 10 corners in the league, probably not even close to that many, who make that tackle in space like Trent McDuffie does.
Before, I know we have a couple things we were going to critique here momentarily, but I do want to touch on this from Joe in the 580 Sports Talk YouTube comments. Ravens players had some hot takes after the game.
I want to get to that after the break.
Okay.
I want to take a break first. I do want to mention this one last thing about the offense before we hit that break, but I do want to get to that on the other side of this timeout. Paul in the YouTube comments tweets, Kansas City scores 27 points 5 times total in 2023. Last night, they scored 27, and it felt like they could have gotten to 40 if they had played better.
And they didn't have Hollywood Brown, their top target.
They didn't have one of their main targets, another field stretcher in Hollywood Brown. Like that, I think is a great way to look at just how improved this offense felt, how much more dynamic it felt, how much it felt like Patrick Mahomes could throw the ball down the field again. Like it felt new. It felt exciting.
So the touchdown pass to Xavier Worthy, the pass, busted coverage.
Yeah.
Marlon Humphrey gambled and lost. He bet on red, it went black. I get sometimes you just bust. He's a really good player, but when he misses, man, he misses badly. So Worthy was wide open. It's an easy completion. That was just, this is courtesy of Doug Clawson of CBS Sports. That was just the third touchdown pass for Patrick Mahomes of 20 or more air yards. So that's literally yards the ball travels in the air. Just the third of 20 or more since the Tyreek Hill trade.
Wow.
Since Tyreek Hill was traded before 2022, we have now played 35 regular season games. That is just the third time there has been an air yards touchdown pass of 20-plus yards, and it happened in week 1 to the brand new super speedy weapon. That is not a fluke. That is not a, hey, let's pull this out. That is a warning.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Ravens going out sad. We'll also talk about, since it's an NFL game, we always have to talk about it, the officiating. With that fun kind of conversation. And Matt Derrick joins us later on this hour to help us recap this Chiefs victory over the Ravens as we get things rolling on this Victory Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. 3:32 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer, the power trio, just like that power trio from Canada. Rush.
Rush rules.
Yeah,
Shout
Rush.
out to Getty Lee.
Yeah, Rush is
Shout
I
out
awesome.
to
guess
Neil
I'm
Peart.
uncultured. I have no clue who Rush is.
Oh my God. I'm so old.
Spencer, I consider you a dear friend. That's the worst thing you've ever said to me.
That is appalling.
I love Rush. As you can tell from wearing a denim jacket today, I love Rush.
Genuinely appalled.
Love him so much. Free Will?
Spirit of Radio, Working Man, Tom Sawyer,
No, I mean I know
Limelight.
The
who
trees?
Tom Sawyer is, but that's about it.
He knows who Tom Sawyer is. Oh boy.
Or the
Modern-
book or whatever it is.
Modern Day Warrior, Me Mean Stride, Me Mean Pride.
Nothing ringing the bell.
Wow. Okay. All right. We'll have to address that at a later time. Matt Derrick's going to join us here in just a little bit. Our Chiefs insider. Ravens went out sad last night, man, and it keeps happening to teams who lose like marquee games to the Chiefs. Is that they go out sad? Like it is an ongoing theme, going out sad after losing to the Chiefs. Isaiah Likely had the comment after the game that, well, that's the worst we're ever going to play. So if that's the best the Chiefs are going to play, good luck to them in the playoffs. I got some bad news for you, bud.
Yeah,
I got some really bad news.
Look,
they don't even have a player, so
I respect his fire. I do. I get that. And I understand being upset after the game. Two things pop out to me here. Number one, the Chiefs must talk unbelievable trash during the game because people get so mad. This makes opposing teams so frustrated.
They don't
and
do it during the
angry.
week. That's the thing. Like the
Yeah.
Chiefs never give an opposing team billboard material.
Have you ever seen the clip from the mic'd up of the Super Bowl last year when Travis Kelce was blocking Charvarius Ward?
Yes.
So Charvarius Ward during media night leading up to the Super Bowl, obviously former Chief, played for the Niners in the Super Bowl this past year. He's getting paid by the Niners too. Made a comment about how it's better over here. Hyping up, saying guys do that all the time.
Yeah.
Whatever. Chiefs didn't respond to it. Why would they respond to it? What is the use of us responding it? You can go find the clip. It made its round on social media again earlier this week. Travis Kelce at one point was blocking Charvarius Ward and was manhandling him. And you can say what you want about Travis Kelce's blocking ability. Well, he's not better than Kittle because Kittle blocks. Okay, cool. You have a sixth offensive lineman. Awesome. With big wet hair. Awesome. Cool. Good for you. When Travis Kelce wants to beat your ass, he's going to do it.
Yep.
And he had Charvarius Ward by the shoulders, but it sure felt like it was by the something else's. And he just was yelling at him, better over there, huh? Like it better over there, huh? Charvarius Ward's like he didn't get a broken nose out of the whole thing. Like Kelce sounded mad.
The Chiefs internalize all that stuff.
Yes.
They don't talk about it, but they internalize it. They use it as fuel. And then after the game, like, you didn't hear a peep about the mayor of Cincinnati until after that AFC Championship game,
Right.
when Travis Kelce called him a jabroni. Like,
and Chris Jones holding on to rap lyrics from a Joe Burrow tweet, and then after they beat the Bengals, getting that back, like they must just absolutely get in the heads of these dudes. But I kind of understand where the Ravens or where the Niners or anyone else is some of the Eagles, not all. James Bradbury admitted he held in that game, which people still are not over in Philadelphia. But like, you can't beat them. Like you can literally beat them in a one-off, but you had Lamar Jackson go out there and have all these flashy plays. You put together a great drive, and you were that close, less than a toe's length away from tying and maybe winning that game. Because with the way the Chiefs' defense was leaking oil there, I would not have wanted to stop.
They were gassed.
I would not have wanted to stop a Derrick Henry halfback dive on the 2-point try.
Yeah,
that would not have
been
been
a
very
problem.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
So you were close, but they're always there. The Chiefs are just always there waiting to beat you. They have many ways to beat you because they are better coached than your team in all likelihood. They've got better players than you do in all likelihood. Their quarterback, without question, is better than your quarterback. And that goes for every single team in the NFL right now. I am sure it's frustrating. I'm sure it's Malone and Stockton. Like, what do we have to do? Well, you have to wait for him to retire. That's how he got his.
You'd better be perfect. Or just about, because you can't even be a toenail short of beating that team as long as the Chiefs don't beat themselves, which they had the one turnover, but largely, like, we've seen what it looks like when the Chiefs beat themselves. That was not a Chiefs beating themselves performance. It wasn't an A+, but it wasn't like last year against Detroit. If the Chiefs don't beat themselves, to beat them, you'd better be perfect or damn near. And it's hard to be perfect, and it frustrates you when you're not. And being perfect means lining up right, Ronnie Stanley. Yeah, the whole offseason to figure that out. Oh, I want a warning. Remember when everybody made fun of the Chiefs for saying, oh, usually you get a warning when Kadarius Toney was offside? Everybody's like, yeah, that's dumb. But now everybody thinks Ronnie Stanley should get a warning? Nah, man, not how it works. Eat those penalties.
Well,
and
they did.
Line up better next time.
They did get a warning. Mitchell Schwartz was at the game on the field as part of the Super Bowl. They honored all four Super Bowl champions. Mitchell Schwartz put on Twitter, they warned them before the game. They told both teams, this is a point of emphasis for the referees. Line up correctly. They are going to call it.
Did they still score on that drive, though?
Yes, they did.
So, like,
they did.
Come on, move on.
Also, Roquan Smith wants to fight Peyton Hendershot now. Like, you love it when tight end 4, who didn't even dress for the game, is getting under the skin of the other team's best linebacker. Like, that is the space the Chiefs occupy in their opponents' heads. We got to take a break. Matt Derrick joins us next on 580 Sports Talk. We go to Kansas City and our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick, a Chiefs beat reporter for ChiefsDigest.com, where you can read his work. You can find him on Twitter at Matt Derrick, and you can hear him Fridays right here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, the Chiefs are 1-0, and for you, what was the biggest reason why the Chiefs, outside of Isaiah Likely's big toe, what was the biggest reason why the Chiefs were able to get out of that game with the win?
I mean, I think if you look at it, the player of the game and the moments of the game were Xavier Worthy. Those two touchdowns, particularly the reverse, that was just incredible play. The passing touchdown busted coverage, so the Chiefs had some help there. But do the Chiefs win this game without Xavier Worthy? I'm not sure that they do. It was a sloppy game on both sides. Both teams kind of missed some opportunities. Chiefs certainly missed theirs, and it could have put it away a couple of different times. But without Worthy, I just don't know if they win this one.
Speaking of the offense as a whole, the Chiefs only got to 27 points on 5 occasions back in 2023. They got to 27 last night, and it felt relatively routine, and frankly felt like they should have gotten a lot more than the 27 that they did. In what ways to you did last night's debut make it feel like this offense might be better than last year's?
I mean, you put it in the context of everything. I mean, this Ravens defense, we'll see what they are this year, but this was the number 1 scoring defense in the league last year. Patrick Queen's gone. They've got some changes, new defensive coordinator, but still in the family of the Ravens defense. So not a lot of significant changes there. We'll see what they are, but yeah, this was a performance that was much more familiar to Chiefs fans as the 18 to 20 era Chiefs offense, and like I said, just given the context of just who you were doing it against, this wasn't a measly defense. This is a really good group. So we'll look back at the end of the season. Now, if the Ravens end up like being the 12th best defense in the league, maybe we'll look back at this and say, okay, well, could have been better. But if the Ravens are again one of the top 3 defenses in the league, you're going to look at this and say, well, Chiefs put 27 points on. Maybe a lot of teams may not put anywhere close to 27 points on this defense. Well, we don't know.
The Ravens scored 20 points. Their first 7 came on their scripted drive. Their next 7 came on a phenomenal individual effort by Lamar Jackson and the aforementioned Isaiah Likely. Outside of that, am I wrong to think that the Chiefs defense not only played really well for the better part of 60 minutes, but that the Chiefs defensive line played a lot better than the stats showed?
Yeah, that's, I don't know. To me, you could probably make an argument a lot of different ways about how the Chiefs got out of this one defensively. They certainly put some pressure on Jackson at times, but he had 16 rushes, only 6 of them were designed, 10 of them were scrambles, and that was certainly, Lamar just being Lamar. He took the game into his own hands at one point. That was the only thing that the Ravens really had was just Lamar. He was going to have to beat this team pretty much by himself. And, he almost did. I mean, he had a couple of mistakes. He left some points on the field too. And that's the one thing that saved the Chiefs last night. But, I thought that the secondary played really well at times. And when the secondary was playing well, the pass rush wasn't really getting there. When the pass rush was playing well, was the spying there on Jackson? Was everything copacetic? I don't know. I mean, it just seemed like, to me, there wasn't a moment at any time last night that the defense just completely clicked. There were parts of it that were playing really well at times. I just don't know if I ever saw all 11 playing well at the same time.
Matt Derrick is our guest, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk via the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline for our Chiefs Insider. We do it every Friday at this time. Make sure you're checking out Matt's work over at ChiefsDigest.com and following him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Make sure you check out the 41's The Mike podcast as well. Awesome, great stuff with Matt and Nick Jacobs every single week. Matt, defensively, a lot was made about the Chiefs' inability to sack Lamar Jackson, but there have also been some folks who have already gone through the tape and poured through it and said, nah, the pressure was fine. They were just facing Lamar Jackson. Do you think that the fact that it was Lamar back there is the reason why the pass rush didn't look good, or were there actually some flaws there?
I think there's a legitimate point to that, yes, this was Lamar. But the difference to this versus, past performances that the Chiefs defense and the pass rush has had against Lamar in the past is that, usually they follow the Steve Spagnuolo philosophy, which is, to force Lamar Jackson to beat you with his arm. Don't let him beat you with his feet by running, escaping, and making plays. And there was a lot more of that last night than there had been in the past against Jackson. So that's the one thing I would say. And I don't think that maybe the word for the pass rush was bad. I don't think they were bad at all. I mean, there was individual moments. Chris Jones absolutely destroyed some people. If not for some heroic, attempts by Justice Hill to get in front of him, maybe he would have had a couple of sacks. But was it sloppy? That's where I think you could maybe have a point. And that's probably just week one aspect of it. It's still early in the season. But normally the Chiefs front four is much more disciplined against the Ravens as far as just maintaining their lines, maintaining their gaps, setting the edges so that, Lamar is hemmed in there, that he stays in the pocket, that he can't get outside the side, he can't scramble up the middle. And that wasn't really maintained last night. I mean, I think it was just a little bit sloppy, and that's what kind of allowed Lamar to do what he did and to have the success that he did at times. Because I just don't think that they maintain their discipline as much as they usually do. How much of that is just week one? It might be a lot of it because it's early in the season and, things are, especially with the way that preseason games are shortened now. I mean, and the fact that this defense was not on the field at the same time for most of training camp, I think that's probably a little bit to be expected.
I want to ask you, Matt, about two linebackers and their play last night. One of them I thought was really good, and that was Leo Chanel. And I do still think there are some limitations on what he can do and, lateral movement and things like that. But using him in the second half as a spy on Lamar Jackson, letting him use that freakish athleticism, great move by Steve Spagnuolo. The other side, I thought Nick Bolton played one of his worst games as a Chief, and some of it is not entirely his fault, put in a bad spot. Offenses dictate so much of the game. But what did you think about the respective performances of those two linebackers?
Yeah, I think Leo absolutely had a really, really good game, and and late in the second half, I saw where I love to see Leo Chanel, which is playing up on the ball. I think they could get a lot more use out of him as a defensive end almost, or at least just a wide nine kind of player that plays outside and goes after the quarterback. They were basically playing there at the end. You could call what you want. Was there a 3-2-6 or a 4-1-6? But at one point, Leo was just playing part of the defensive line. If it wasn't going after the quarterback, he was spying there on Jackson. And then you had Bolton in kind of the middle of the field by himself. And it was a rough game for Nick. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think he'd probably say the same thing. But how much of that stems from the injury, not having any time in the preseason? He was knocking off the rust last night, kind of in live action, and that's, I think, hard to do. The elbow, I'm sure, is still hampering him a little bit. That's not going to affect his lateral movements or anything of that nature. But I think he's played a little bit one arm, just like he did last year, most of the season. So he's got a couple of things that he's got to bounce back from. To me, the judge is going to be with Bolton. How does he look in the next couple of weeks? Is it much better against Cincinnati because he knocked off the rust against Baltimore and he's got his feet back underneath him? We'll see. But no, I mean, and Nick has his limitations. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Everybody does. And I think that was a tough spot because there was a lot of times last night that the Chiefs kind of left Bolton in the middle of the field. They had him dropping back in coverage an awful lot. And let's face it, that's not his strong point. His strong point is really, playing downfield, and it's going against the run. It's tackling. It's not necessarily trying to cover a huge swath of the middle of the field. And that's what he was asked to do last night.
We're joined by Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. And Matt, something that Steve Spagnuolo said at the beginning of the week during his media availability when he was asked about the cornerback 2 position, he was very non-committal, but it appears it's Jalen Watson's job, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that for now. We'll see if there's any changes going forward when guys get healthy. I mean, I think you clearly say Najee Johnson still is not healthy, didn't have any defensive snaps that I remember. I think it was all just Josh Williams coming in, and when they did go to some 3-corner situations. And Josh Williams would be the next one up. He got some time as the number 2 rep in training camp. If Watson struggles, I think Josh Williams would be the next guy in there. But, yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that at this point it's Jalen Watson's job for now.
What did you think about Felix and DK Uzama's performance? I believe he had the fumble recovery.
Yeah, a couple of really good plays at just the right time, right place, right time, and executed from Felix. He had the fumble recovery. He also had the tackle for a loss. He read that play very well. At least that play, I think the tackle for the loss, that might have been a play that he doesn't make last year. Being around the football, being in the right place, getting in there, that's sometimes just good fortune, but it's also a result of good work. So didn't play a ton of snaps last night, but I thought the snaps that he got were good. And when put an opportunity to make a couple of plays, he made them.
Couple more questions, quick ones for Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Just before the game last night, Matt, it was announced that Noah Gray was getting a 3-year contract extension. News that kind of caught everybody by surprise, as that was not something the Chiefs had talked openly about. It included $10 million guaranteed, and then Gray was a big part of the offense last night. Was this kind of in the works all along? And did you notice that Gray was becoming a bigger part of the offense during training camp, or were the Chiefs very able to keep this under wraps a little bit?
Yeah, I have to admit, I hadn't heard anything about it, so it did kind of come out of thin air to me. I think we were also focused on the 2 other members of that draft class that Noah Gray kind of flew me up below the radar, and I kind of got the sense that maybe the Chiefs were going to let him test free agency and weren't going to get a long-term deal done with him. But it's affordable. I mean, that's a reasonable deal for a number 2 tight end. It's actually fairly, comparable to what per year, but what he's going to be making in, the year 4 of his rookie contract. So it's not a deal breaker. It's not a big amount of money. It's, I think, a decent investment in a backup tight end. The question I'm sure begs is just that, does this deal signal that there's some concern that this might be one of the last years for Travis Kelce? I mean, you got to know that Kelce's getting near the end, but I think I'm not sure that it really has anything to do with Travis. I think it just has more to do with the fact that the Chiefs know what Noah Gray does. He's got a very specific skill set. They've always appreciated that, and they're rewarding it.
Matt Derrick covers the Chiefs at ChiefsDigest.com. He is our Chiefs insider, joins us every Friday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt, it is always a pleasure. It's even better when we have you on a Victory Friday. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great, Dan. Take care, my friends.
That is Matt Derrick. We'll come back and wrap up this 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio after this. All right, boys. Game balls. from last night's Chiefs 27-20 victory? Brendan, you go first.
I haven't always been his biggest fan, but I thought Leo Chanel really stood out last night. That's good to see. He was awesome in the Super Bowl. Let's see it for a full year.
Spencer, who gets your game ball?
It's as easy as this. He was my big chief. It's Xavier Worthy, 3 touches, 2 touchdowns.
I give mine to Rashee Rice, 7 catches, 103 yards. If you want to cover Travis Kelce with a safety and let a linebacker try to cover Rashee Rice, he's going to do that.
Dude, he is going to put up gigantic numbers this year.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of games that look like that because, yeah, you have to pick your poison with him and Kelce underneath, and that is a terrifying thought for defenses. We got our Prairie Band Sportsbook 580 Sports Talk picks, and we'll talk to K-State defensive end Brendan Mott in the next hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk on this Friday afternoon. It is a Victory Friday and a Football Friday on the program. The Chiefs are 1-0, winners over the Baltimore Ravens last night in a heart stopper, 27-20. Lots of great Chiefs stuff from the first hour of today's show. We are with you until 6:30 tonight. We'll hand things off then to the Royals Baseball Network for pregame coverage of game 1 of 3 between the Royals and the Twins at Kauffman Stadium tonight. Cole Reagan's on the bump for Kansas City. Zebby Matthews goes for the Twins.
Zebby!
The Zebster.
Zebulon,
I believe, was his middle name. I think we looked this up back when the Royals faced him for a first time and actually pitched really well against the Royals. Royals hope the second time's the charm against old Zeb.
I would also go by, well, my name was Daniel. I'd go by my middle name too.
Wow.
Daniel Zebulon Matthews.
Look, I haven't always been a super fan of the name Daniel either. Why do you think I go by Dan? I've got my Dan since I was like 5.
Yeah, I've got a friend named Mike who his name is Michael, but he goes by Mike. I've mentioned my friend Mike on the show many times. He once asked me, this is not a joke. I'm not doing a bit here. Freshman year of college, we went to high school together, we went to college together. We're in Journalism 101. It's a big lecture hall class at KU. We had like 5 graded assignments the entire class. One of them was a test. It was a Scantron test we took in the lecture hall. It was do it and then leave. And Mike turned to me as they're handing out the Scantrons and getting ready to pass out the tests. And Mike says to me, how do you spell Michael? And I said, you mean your name? And he said, is it A-E or E-A? I never remember. It's like, your name is Michael. He's like, I go by Mike. I've gone by Mike since I was born. Like, I don't call myself this.
That's funny.
Yeah, he did not know how to spell Michael.
Now, that is really funny. Yeah, I've been Dan a long time. I don't want to go by my middle name. I like Dan. I'm good with Dan. Anyway, Zebby's good with Zebby. So hopefully the Royals can get after Zebby Matthews tonight. We have you up until 6:30. Our overtime today is going to be part 2 of the 580 Preps Coaches Club as we get you set for high school football across the area tonight. A reminder that our 580 Preps Pigskin and Hoops preview is available on our website, 580wibw.com. We've had multiple people ask us throughout the week, hey, it's football season. Where's Pigskin Hoops magazine? It's online. That's where it lives this year. It's an online-only publication this time around. You go to 580wibw.com. There's a link to it in the middle of the page. You can go to the High School Sports Now link in our drop-down menu under the Sports tab. You can find all the previews, all the local teams. They're all there for you to read. You can send them to your grandma who lives in Virginia and loves to follow Wabunsee football. It's a much easier way to disseminate the information we found, but check it out on the web, 580wibw.com. We got high school football tonight on our sister station, Classic Country 106.9. The War on 24. That is our game tonight over on 106.9 FM KTPK. Silver Lake hosting Rossville. Myself on the call, Spencer Dupuis with me on that broadcast tonight. Join us for that on our sister station, Classic Country 106.9. We appreciate you joining us here on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580wibw.com, and on our video stream, which you can catch on Facebook, WIBW News, and on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, where we hope that you watched our live reaction video after last night's Chiefs victory over the Ravens. If you are watching the YouTube, you can jump into the YouTube comments, where there are a lot of people really concerned about the fact that Spencer doesn't know who the band Rush is.
Apparently somebody's concerned for my hips.
Well, we did find out you had eyeball disease, aka cataracts, yesterday. So, like, on the one hand, we were like, wait a minute, Spencer is maybe Spencer is 50 years old, as one commenter suggested yesterday. But now you don't know who Rush is. So now it feels like you are a child.
I will try and do some homework before Monday's show, and I'll report back.
Please do.
How do you feel about Canada?
I mean, it's Canada. I'm French Canadian partially.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, you should have been born knowing Rush. If that,
I guess.
they're great.
What's the best thing ever came from Canada?
Hockey.
Might be Rush.
Joe Sakic and Jamal Murray tied for first place.
John Candy.
Oh, good answer.
John
Good,
Candy.
good answer. Good answer. That survey says that's a good one.
Bret Hart.
Good answer. Good answer.
The Hart Dungeon.
Drake.
Stampede Bunkhouse.
Wrong answer.
Or Bunkhouse
I was.
Stampede.
It was wrong answers only for me.
Boo, boo.
We've got lots to get to still on this show. Coming up later on this hour, we'll choose a What Is Wrong With You champion for the week, and we'll play my conversation from earlier this week with K-State senior defensive end Brendan Mott. I had a chance to chat with Brendan about the first win of the season for the Wildcats and also growing up the son of an NFL player and currently being the brother-in-law of an NFL player. Fun conversation with Brendan Mott. Look forward to playing that for you later on this hour. But we begin this hour with week number 2 of our Prairie Band Sportsbook's 580 Sports Talk picks. We do 5 picks each week, college football, NFL, and a wild card pick that could be a spread, player prop, whatever we want it to be total. Those are our picks, and this is our contest, and it is brought to you by Prairie Band Sportsbook, who reminds you can bet your way at the Prairie Band Sportsbook and invites you to join the Prairie Band Sportsbook free NFL Survivor Pool. You've got a chance to win up to $25,000. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, man, week 1 of the NFL started last night. I guess I can't join. Wrong. You can still join up until kickoff of the Monday night game. Of course, at that point, you would have to choose the winner of the Monday night game correctly. So you probably want to get in before Sunday's action. You can do so at prairieband.chalklinegames.com/games/survivor. prairieband.chalklinegames.com/games/survivor. It is free to play the Survivor Pool. You can win $5,000 if you win the pool, and you can win up to $25,000 if you go undefeated for the year in Prairie Band's free NFL Survivor Pool.
Go do it. You can't beat free.
No, you certainly can't. This is
Hey,
our first.
we have an update about Rush. So my buddy Phil that was in the chat yesterday,
Mhm.
he messaged me and he said, "You don't know who Rush is?"
Yes.
And then he sent me the YouTube link to Tom Sawyer.
There we go.
Yes.
Shout out to Phil.
You're going to get educated. Shout out to Phil. Also, shout out to Getty Lee. Tyler points out in the YouTube live chat that Getty Lee has an awesome sports memorabilia collection. You go to the Negro League Museum and Hall of Fame in Kansas City. There's like dozens of signed baseballs from Negro League legends that were donated by Getty Lee, which I think is really
And Getty
cool.
Lee rules.
Yeah, Getty Lee's awesome. Anyway, let's get to our picks this week. Last week, Brendan and Spencer both went 2-1. I went 1-2. Brendan, the only one of us to hit his lock of the week, the Iowa covering the 22.5 in their win. So currently it is Brendan with the tiebreaker ahead of Spencer and me bringing up the rear. This is our first full week of games. We have 2 college picks, we have 2 NFL picks, and we have a wild card pick at the end. Let's start with our college picks. Brendan, why don't you lead us off?
All right, I'm going with the Hawks. I'm taking KU. I don't really understand why this line has moved as much as it has. Kansas is playing at Illinois. KU is favored by 4.5. It opened at some books as little as KU -3. It also opened at some as KU -5.5. It has been all over the place. I don't really understand why. I think it's pretty simple, guys. I think KU is just a much better team than Illinois is. And Paul Meyerberg, yesterday on the show during the Big 12 breakdown, he felt the same way. So I'm taking the Hawks over the Illini in the Brendan Dworzynski Bowl. I'm also taking Nebraska as a 7-point favorite at home against Colorado. I'm a little surprised it's not more. Like, I think, I don't know that Nebraska's like great, but I think they're improved. I think Matt Rule is a really good college coach. I think Dylan Raiola might have the goods. They've got talent. And I don't know that Colorado is going to win more than like 3 games this year. I don't think this is going to be one of them. Memorial Stadium is going to be going nuts. I'm taking Nebraska.
The books are going to take a ton of Colorado money because they always do. Colorado is a big draw at all of the major sports books.
You know who's betting Colorado in all those games? We call them normies.
Yes.
Squares. That's what they're in betting parlance. Those are the squares.
It's not the Sharps. The Sharps are not on the Buffs this week. Let's just say that. Spencer, you've got 2 picks, couple of road dogs from the G5 playing at Power 4 schools, including your alma mater.
Yes, at my favorite school growing up. I think Marshall is going to cover the 20.5 at Virginia Tech. I don't necessarily think they're going to win because I do think that Virginia Tech's a little fueled by their disappointing performance at Vanderbilt last weekend, but I think they're going to cover the spread there. And Boise State +19 at Oregon.
I like that one.
I think they're going to win outright.
Whoa!
Because you know what? They are my group of 5 college football playoff
That's
pick.
true.
So I think they're going to upset Oregon, and this is going to be on their resume for getting into the college football playoff.
I don't hate it.
That is certainly a bold and spicy take. I don't hate it, though. Ashton Jeanty had 6 touchdowns last week. He cramped up after one of them so bad. He ran like a first 75-yard touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
He was cramping up so bad they couldn't put him right back in the game. He was literally suffering from success.
Yeah, that's true. They fed him a whole bunch of rat poison this week. Dan Lanning's been talking him up like crazy.
For my 2 college football picks, I am riding with Brendan and taking the Jayhawks and laying 4.5 points in Champaign. I think they're a lot better than Illinois is, and I think they're going to win this game by at least a touchdown. We've also got Appalachian State plus 17 at Clemson.
Love it.
I know
pick.
it was Georgia at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and Georgia might be the best team in the country. That being said, what did you see about Clemson, particularly on offense last Saturday, that suggested they could beat anybody by 17 points? This line is way too high. App State's got a reputation, a history of being giant killers. I think they hang closer than 17. I will take the points with the Mountaineers. For the NFL this weekend, I've got 2 home favorites laying just shy of a touchdown. I got Buffalo minus 6.5 at home against Arizona. I think they're going to be able to score at will. More about that game in just a bit. And I'm taking my Seahawks laying 6 against Denver. This is my lock of the week. Bo Nix, first start on the road, Mike McDonald defense, tough place to play. That's a daunting task for any rookie quarterback, even if I liked said rookie quarterback. And I don't think Bo Nix is going to be very good.
And I don't like Bo Nix.
Yeah, so I think that could be a wipeout, honestly. So I'm happy to lay just 6 points with the Seahawks. That's my lock of the week. Spencer, what are your NFL picks this week?
My NFL picks are, we'll go with my lock of the week first. It's Cincinnati taking on New England. I got Cincinnati in this one. They were favored by 8. I think it's now 7.5.
It is, because it doesn't sound like T. Higgins is going to play, and it doesn't seem like Jamar Chase is going to play much.
I don't care.
Okay.
It's a rebuilding.
Hey-o!
It's a rebuilding Patriots organization that doesn't really know what their direction is at quarterback this year.
That lost its 2 best defensive players in the last 3 weeks.
Yes.
Love the compliment. Love the confidence, rather.
Yes.
And then your other pick?
It's a homer pick here again. Commanders are 3.5-point dogs in Tampa Bay to open up the season. I think they're not only going to cover, I think they're going to win.
All right. Taking another dog to win outright. Brendan, you've got 2 dogs as well this week.
Yeah, we're on the homer picks this week as well. My lock of the week is Green Bay tonight. Again, I'm a little perplexed. Philadelphia is changing both of its coordinators. I don't know how Jalen Hurts will mesh with Kellen Moore, especially week 1. And the Packers run a lot of play action. You know who coached up one of the worst play action defenses in the NFL last year? Vic Fangio, who is also going to be coaching his first game with Philadelphia tonight. Yeah. And I'm a believer in my Packers team. So I'll take Green Bay +2. That's my lock of the week. Also, I feel terrible about this next pick. I'm just going to tell you straight up. I've got Indianapolis +3 at home against Houston. Everybody loves the Texans. I totally get it. Indy, though, home dog week 1. Gus Bradley versus that passing game for Houston scares me, though. I will admit it. I do not feel great about that. That line is moved, by the way. It was 2.5.
Yeah.
It actually has moved in the last couple hours to 3.
Interesting. Yeah, move me towards Houston.
Yeah.
But yeah, Indianapolis should be a good team. I think that will be a very good game. All right, our wild card pick, which could be anything, a total, another spread, a player prop. Spencer, for you, it's a player prop.
Yes, it's Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders, over 1.5 passing touchdowns on the day. I was telling Brendan this out in the hallway between, I think it's the end of last hour. I said, I just got a good feeling about this game. Maybe not the whole season, but I think it's going to be a good first game for Jaden Daniels in the NFL.
I respect the confidence.
I'm going with the over in Arizona Buffalo. I think it's going to be a shootout. I don't think either team can maybe stop the other. I do think Buffalo ends up winning by multiple scores. That's why I'm laying the 6.5 points. But I think that game clears 47 fairly easily.
And I'm going with an under. Minnesota versus the New York Football Giants. That stadium is going to look awesome because they're putting the old New York Football Giants logo at midfield. Daniel Jones versus Sam Darnold. And the Giants have a really good front. So I like the under 41.
All right. How about our survivor pool for the show? Reminder, you can play Prairie Band's free NFL survivor game, prairieband.chalklinegames.com/games/survivor. Enter before kickoff of the Monday night game this week.
Now, let's remember the rules of the contest. Everybody is ready to go here. You get a mulligan. It's double elimination survivor pool. Why, you might ask? Because we need content for a full 18-week NFL season.
We don't want to blow it in week one, and
which we have done before.
Yes. Shout out to Fulton Caster.
So you get a redo, you get a mulligan. Also, per usual, you only get each team one time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pick the Chiefs week 1, you burned the Chiefs. They're out.
Couldn't take them because we didn't do it yesterday.
Well, that's why I use them as the example.
So I'm on Buffalo. Like I said, I think they're going to beat Arizona.
I am on Cincinnati, like I already said. I
Okay.
think it's a lock. The Patriots are rebuilding.
Man, I don't love a lot of my options here. I am going to end up taking, gross, man. Spencer, I'll join you. I'll take the Bengals.
All right. So there you have it. Those are our survivor pool picks for this week. All right. Two of us, Brendan and I, are both betting in our picks the KU Illinois game.
I will be betting that anyway.
Yes, I am also going to bet it as well. Biggest key to the game for KU. They win, Brendan, they win if they do what?
I think you have to get after Luke Altmaier, quarterback for Illinois. They're going to run. We know that they are going to run. We talked about that with Michael Swain earlier this week, and you've got to be stout against the run. That's why I think Cornell Wheeler might be the most important player in this game. But when they do pass, they bring out the play action game. You've got to make sure that Luke Altmaier is not getting clean looks, that he's not able to let things develop down the field. He did not play especially well for the meaningful part of the game last year in Lawrence. Got to do more of the same in this one. Dean Miller, I'm looking at you. Great against Lindenwood. He has transformed his body like crazy. I want to see it against a better team and a better line.
Spencer, you think KU's winning?
Oh, yeah, I think KU's winning, and I think there's going to be a lot of KU Jayhawk blue in the stands because the last time
I think so too.
Illinois sold out a game was against
2016
KU, right?
No,
Oh.
no, I don't know who it would have been, but it was not against.
I thought it was against KU. I thought I heard that.
No.
Well, it's been since 2016, and I think KU's.
I think the game at KU sold out last season.
Yeah,
that's what
it
would
was.
have been. Okay.
K-State also on the road. They go out to Tulane. Now, this line has sat at 9.5 at most of the sports books. Prairie Band and some others this morning had it at -8.5. It has since moved. Right now at Prairie Band, Kansas State, 9.5-point favorites. I got K-State 8.5. I think they're going to win by double digits. I just don't think this is a Tulane team with the same level of talent that we've seen them have the last couple of years, like the NFL guys that they've had. They got true freshman quarterback against a Joe Clanderman defense that showed how fast they can play last week. I think Tulane's going to find it very, very hard to score. And I think K-State's going to put some stuff out on the field that they don't have on film yet. That's going to make them very hard to stop. I think Kansas State wins this game, unless like it's super humid and cramps are an issue or something, or they ate too many pregame beignets. I don't know. I think K-State should be double digits better than Tulane.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie and say I know all about what. In fact, it might actually rain on Saturday. There is rain in the forecast. High of 79. That's not too shabby, honestly. I'm not going to say that I know exactly what Tulane is going to run out there defensively. I don't know what John Summerall's tendencies are in that regard. I know his teams play hard. He's at Troy. Those teams were really nasty. So I know they'll have that, but not knowing if they're going to have some sort of magical elixir for slowing down Avery Johnson in that run game, I'm just going to go with the team that's got the better talent and probably the better coaching. But I do like John Summerall a lot, but Chris Kleiman's one of the best in the biz.
I do agree with what Dan said about the not having shown much on film. Obviously, it was an FCS opponent. So I do think Kansas State's going to win. But shout out to Tulane's assistant athletic director for strategic communications, Jason Corey. We're back to the Marshall days.
So you know the guy then?
Yeah, he was the sports info guy at Marshall.
I would like to change my wild card pick to Spencer getting a Marshall reference on the show during the pick segment to -400,000.
Yeah, that is that's off the board. That has been removed. Circa has pulled all bets about Spencer references his alma mater. You can parlay it. Spencer references the alma mater. Spencer references the Commanders. You can get a parlay boosted odds to -100,000.
I will give you props, though. I don't think I know where as many KU grads work as you know Marshall grads and where they work. Like I hear, oh, this person went to Kansas. Like, oh, cool, neat. But you have like a Rolodex.
Well, in my defense, he left Marshall to go to Tulane while I was had just graduated. He left then.
Fair enough.
So. I thought I was proud of where I went to college, and I am. I am a proud DePaul Fighting Tiger.
Who did the Tigers got this week?
Dastardly engineers of the Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology in Terre Haute.
Oh, Rich.
We're gonna get after that ass. Let me tell you what. Go Tigers. I thought I loved my alma mater. Then I met Spencer, and I realized, no, that is a man who loves his alma mater.
Facts.
Important. Is the game in Greencastle or is it in Terre Haute?
Doesn't matter. We're tearing them to shreds no matter where it is.
Well, I'm just asking because I want to know how quickly after the game do they had to get back to the bus. Terre Haute, Indiana, not a place you want to hang around.
No, really not. No, it is a home game. It is. No, you don't come into Blackstock Stadium and push around the Tigers. Let me just say that. Real quick, before we go to break and do what is wrong with you, give me one more game, college or pro, that you're excited to watch this weekend and why. Spencer.
Ooh, that's good. I think it's going to be that Sunday night, or was it Monday night game? The Jets and the 49ers. They're playing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Monday night.
Yeah, Monday Night Football. Yes, the Jets and 49ers. I just want to see what Aaron Rodgers can do, or if the funniest thing / weirdest thing / worst thing to ever happens again. I'm not praying for it. It would be the weirdest thing ever to happen.
I put it in my picks. Colorado, Nebraska, I think is just going to be a fascinating litmus test for both of those programs.
I'm fired up for Texas, Michigan. It's a really cool non-conference matchup between teams that don't commonly play. It's an on-campus non-conference high-profile matchup.
Yeah.
Give Texas credit for doing that the last few years. They had the home and home with Alabama, and now I think they've got this home and home with Michigan. Michigan might have a QB problem, and if they do, this game might not be close, but
I don't think it's might.
Michigan's defense is ferocious. Yeah. Like, they've got an opportunity to stay in the game on defense. They forced a couple of turnovers. Quinn Ewers didn't exactly push the ball downfield in game one. There might be a major advantage in the trenches for Michigan that outweighs the quarterback mismatch on paper that Texas has. So really fascinating to see how that one plays out in the big house. Going to be a great weekend of football. Again, all lines courtesy of Prairie Band Sportsbook. Go up to Mayetta and go see them, and go hang out there Saturday and Sunday and watch the games. And what a great place to watch the football on the weekend. We're going to take a break here on 580 Sports Talk in the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. When we come back, we're crowning a What Is Wrong With You champion for this first full week of September. That's next on 580 WIBW. Time for another round of What Is Wrong With You here on 580 Sports Talk. We crown a weekly champion on this Friday, our reigning champion. And I would have gotten away with it, too, if it weren't for that loose dog. That story from Caribou, Maine, where a stray dog led to the discovery of a stolen boat in somebody's driveway, which led to a search warrant, which led to the discovery of drugs and firearms in the guy's house. So, you know, if you're going to steal a boat, number one, do a better job hiding it. Number two, don't also have drugs and guns in the house, especially if you're not supposed to have guns.
We have a texter from the 913 who says, sounds like a Scooby-Doo episode. I think that was indeed your goal.
Yes, that was a direct Scooby-Doo reference. I would have gotten away with it, too. Yeah, if it weren't for those
meddling kids.
Meddling kids.
And that dog, too.
How do you know that and you don't know who Rush is?
Because Scooby-Doo was legit still relevant. They had the Scooby-Doo, actual...
Relevant?
Rush
Let me
is
tell you
not
about
relevant?
Rush.
Look, they had the Scooby-Doo movies with the actual actors who are, in fact, married in life. Freddie and
Yes, Freddie
Daphne.
Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar. Yeah, they're married in life.
Yeah, they had those. They had the Scooby-Doo and the Scooby-Doo 2. Monsters Unleashed.
Say that Rush isn't relevant. Man, they were still releasing bangers when I was in college.
But not while I was a kid growing up to where I listened to that kind of music.
I was in college when you were a kid growing up.
Yes, but I wasn't listening to all kinds of music when I was that age. I was 10.
Well, we're gonna educate
The
you.
quotes of a man who's never listened to 2112.
We got to get into our What Is Wrong With You. What is wrong with you? Spencer, you don't know who Rush is. Brendan, who is your What Is Wrong
That
with
wins
you
the week,
today?
right?
All right, my story is taking us to Florida, where an employee of Garda World, the company that has all those armored trucks, well, he was arrested on Wednesday after police say he stole nearly $70,000 from money bags in his truck. So according to the arrest reports from Pinellas Park, Florida, 24-year-old Ronnie Copeland of Clearwater was a messenger for Garda World. Messengers are the ones who get in the armored trucks, get the money out, exchange them, etc. They are typically armed. On 4 days between June and August, Copeland tampered with money bags by removing the cash. And then, to try to cover his tracks, he resealed them with super glue.
That's using the old noodle.
According to arrest reports, the stolen cash totaled $69,702. Say it with me.
Nice.
Copeland was the only person who had access to money during that time. Before he was suspended, the branch manager found super glue in his backpack. He was arrested Wednesday on 4 counts of grand theft. He is being held on $30,000 bond and has pled not guilty. Super glue. I'm going to guess they don't bring out the old Gorilla Glue little squeeze tube when they're sealing up the money for the armored trucks.
No, not
just
typically.
a hunch.
Yeah, he thought he could get away with it.
Now it's even more secure.
Yeah, you've glued this bag shut. Why doesn't it feel like there's anything in it? Care to explain that one, Ronnie?
Feels like glue.
I your bag with glue, like to weigh it down. Yeah, make it feel like there was still money.
Honestly, would have been better than how his plan turned out.
Yeah, no kidding. For my story, we're going to the Netherlands. We're going to Holland.
Oh.
Meet a 33-year-old man who sent himself in the mail to the house of his ex-partner, and he's been sentenced to 4 months for stalking. The delivery took place on May 18th and was a culmination of a series of incidents following the breakup of the couple's one-year relationship, including the theft of her keys, trespassing, and placing a tracker in her home.
Yikes.
The man told the magistrate that having himself delivered in a box was the only way to get inside and get his stuff back. When he emerged from the box, the woman claims, he threatened her with a gun. He then took off with the keys to the house. No weapon was found at the man's home address, but the prosecutor says he did steal the keys, as well as bombard the woman with emails and create a social media account in her name. The man claimed the woman had given permission for his previous visits, including one on which he placed a tracker behind the cooker, and that the keys were given to him earlier, but that did not impress the magistrate, who agreed to the prosecutor's demand of 4 months in jail and a 3-year restraining order. He fit himself in a box with a gun and mailed himself to his ex's house.
Yeah, that's nuts. That is truly, truly crazy. This guy has clearly never watched Live PD, because they definitely, you can just get the police to show up at someone's house and they'll negotiate long enough that you can get your stuff back. Usually on that show, it's like a gun or a child. But same difference.
It's like, my record collection or
Right.
my PS5 or whatever it might be. Like, I understand, like, yeah, you got to call the police and get that stuff like negotiated. Mail yourself? Like, were there little
commitment, man.
Were there little holes in the side of the box? What if he had to go to the bathroom? Like, how long did he sit in the post office?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Like, did he just set himself outside his house in the box? And
I'm going to pick this to win today, and I'm going to pick this to win the week.
Vance calls him the FedEx X in the YouTube comments.
One texter from the 913 says, good thing it wasn't USPS. He'd be dead.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
Wow. Can't say it any better than that. So the FedEx.
Yeah, that's a good name. That's a good name. Yeah, I like that one to win the week.
Yeah, I think we're unanimous. The FedEx wins the week on What Is Wrong With You. We're going to take a break here on 580 Sports Talk in the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. When we come back, my conversation from earlier this week with Kansas State senior defensive lineman Brendan Mott. That's next here on 580 WIBW. 443 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, and Spencer with you on this Friday afternoon. K-State heads to New Orleans to take on Tulane tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. pregame and 11 a.m. kickoff. You can hear that game right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Earlier this week, I had the occasion to speak with K-State senior defensive end Brendan Mott, and here's our conversation.
Welcome back into 580 Sports Talk. The Kansas State Wildcats are 1-0 after their victory Saturday against the UT Martin Skyhawks, and now they head out on the road to New Orleans to take on Tulane this Saturday with an 11 a.m. kickoff. Joining us to talk all about it is defensive end Brendan Mott. And Brendan, how much fun was it as a unit to get after it the way you guys did in that first game? Go hit somebody in a different uniform and play as well all around as you guys did.
Yeah, after a long camp, it's definitely nice to be able to play someone with a different uniform. We all had fun out there, man. We're all flying around, having fun, and that's really what it's all about. It's always fun going out there with my guys in front of the fans at the Bill. So we had a blast this past weekend, and we look forward to having fun this upcoming weekend.
What did you feel like as a group you guys did particularly well defensively in that first game?
I just feel like we were sound on all levels. Going into the game, one of our game plans was to shut down the run and be more physical than they were up front, and I believe we did that, and we can do that. That just helps the guys behind us make their jobs easier, and when they do their job back there, it makes our jobs easier. So I believe we just kind of worked together and grooved together, and like I said, we went out there and had fun.
For yourself, I know you always want to make a good first impression. Everybody does in that first game, but to be able to go out and be productive and record a sack and help be a part of that defensive effort the way that you were, how satisfied were you with your own effort in game one?
Yeah, I thought I went out there and had a good game, but it's a long season and you can't get satisfied with just how one game goes. So it's really next play mindset, next game mindset, and that's something that you enjoy and you celebrate Saturday night with your family and friends, and then you come in Sunday and Monday and it's back to work.
We're talking to senior defensive end Brendan Mott of the Kansas State Wildcats, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. And Brendan, as one of the veteran guys on this defensive unit now, particularly at your position, you get to see some of the young pups come in and play well in that first game. I imagine that was gratifying. Talk about some of the guys who you have known have improved in practice, and you were excited to see them go out and prove it in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Watching these younger defensive ends all spring, all summer, and all fall camp, we knew that when their time was up, when they got called, their number was called, that they're going to go out there and ball out. And Cheedy and Toby and Ryan Davis and Jordan Allen and Travis Bates. I mean, I can just keep going. The depth at our positions, it's huge. But no, it was awesome being able to sit back and just watch them go out there and play fast, have fun, and go make some plays.
I wanted to ask in particular about Toby Osunsomni. He had a sack and a half among the four that you were able to accumulate as a defense on Saturday. And we've seen him on the field before. We know that the speed, the athleticism is really impressive. How in particular have you seen him put it together and turn that raw talent into actual production and really learning how to be effective on a snap-by-snap basis?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he just switched positions this spring to defensive end, so that was just kind of like a learning curve for him to kind of get more comfortable. And as he went through the spring and through fall camp, you could tell he just got more and more comfortable with his body and playing that position. And the more comfortable you are, the faster you play. And I think we saw on Saturday that he was out there flying around, and he's going to be a great part of this defense and continue to make plays for the whole season.
As a senior in that unit, obviously you're looked up to by some of those younger guys. In what ways do you feel like you're an effective leader, and who did you maybe learn from when you were a younger player as far as ways to lead, ways to demonstrate not just how to play, but how to carry yourself, how to prepare?
Yeah, leadership's a huge part of this program. It's a player-led program, and I think that's what makes this program so special compared to other programs. Is it's not just one guy or two guys. We have a huge leadership council of guys who aren't afraid to speak up, hold each other accountable, and at the end of the day, that just makes our whole team better, being able to hold our players accountable to the highest level. And as far as people that I've had to look up to, man, there's so many to name. Coming in as a freshman, I had Wyatt Hubert here, who was a real good role model. And just guys all around the team. Hayden Gillum, a great leader, bunch of great guys that kind of set the path for me and kind of led the way and showed examples of how now I'm able to kind of lead these younger guys.
Our guest is Brendan Mott, the senior defensive end for the Kansas State Wildcats, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan, football runs in your family. Your dad played football at Iowa, was an NFL draft pick, played for 3 different teams, and your sister is married to an NFL player, Nick Neiman, currently rostered. And so football is all around. When you were growing up, did it kind of feel fated that you'd end up playing football yourself, or did you kind of get to choose your own path and find football in your own way?
Yeah, football's definitely been incorporated in my life growing up. My entire family, and that's one thing that I'll give credit to my parents about, is they said, even with this football history and background, they said that no matter what route I take, they'll always support me. If I just wanted to go to school and just be a student, they'd support me 100% of the way. But growing up and having my dad as a figure, and then my brother-in-law now, it really gave me more of a motivation and drive to want to play at the next level and play football. And my love for the sport also, just growing up, having that be my favorite sport, it definitely helped with the decision. And I'm super glad that I stuck with it. A lot of hard work, a lot of long hours, but man, it's been a journey. It's been super fun.
So when did you realize that you did not only love football, but maybe had a knack for it? Maybe we're going to be able to play at a high level in college. When was the point where that kind of set in for you?
That's a great question, because me and both my brother were super late bloomers. So my freshman year of high school, I played cornerback, and I was like 5'2", 125 pounds, guarding these super tall wide receivers and stuff. And I was holding my own, had some picks and stuff, and that just gave me some confidence. But I'd say just being able to play the game at that size and be able to go out there and make plays, and then trusting that hopefully the growth would come. And sure it did, because now I'm 6'4", 6'5", 240 pounds, so a big difference. But yeah.
No question.
So, yeah.
The growth spurt was timely and fortunate, I think, for you, Brendan, as we're discussing things with Brendan Mott, defensive end for the Kansas State Wildcats. All right, 2 more questions for you, Brendan. First, you've already got your degree in finance. You're working towards an MBA now. Whenever football ends for you, whether that's at the conclusion of your college career, whether that's after a professional career, where do you see life taking you? What's the thing that you want to accomplish?
Yeah, it's a great question as well. As far as school and job, I got my undergrad in finance, and then I got a certificate in investment management, and I'm finished on my MBA. So that's a field that I'm interested in, is investment management, and just kind of researching companies and seeing what they do and how they make their money. And then further on than that in life is just, I'd say, having a great family, a great wife, a great kids, and then just a great job to be able to support them.
All right. And the last thing for you, Brendan, you are now a veteran of playing in the Big 12. You've been in some of the most hostile environments that the conference has to offer. Obviously, some new environments this year that you'll go into. You'll go to Boulder and play against Colorado later on this year, for example. What has been your favorite Big 12 road city to play in?
I would say that my favorite road game that I ever played in was either Oklahoma or Texas, but they aren't obviously in the conference anymore, because those were 2 big stadiums, some hostile crowds.
Sure.
West Virginia was super fun a couple of years ago, and looking forward to this year. I'm super excited to head to Boulder to play CU, and then also go out and play BYU at their stadium. So those are 2 stadiums and 2 environments that me, myself, and the whole team's excited to go out there and play.
Brendan Mott and the Kansas State Wildcats got their season off to a fine start last Saturday. They'll try to make it 2-0 down on the Bayou against Tulane this coming Saturday. Brendan, really appreciate the time. Best of luck to you on Saturday and the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time as well.
That's Brendan Mott. Back after this on 580 Sports Talk. On second thought, to wrap up this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk, I really thought the Royals bullpen was about to turn the corner and get all lined up behind Lucas Erceg, and then he got hurt, and then the bullpen kind of took a dump in Houston. Wasn't real good the first 2 games at Cleveland, and Erceg struggled because he took that comebacker off the hand. So might have been wrong about that. Royals need some length from their starters again.
My own second thought is that I was prepared for the Chiefs to cruise in the final 5 minutes of that game last night, and I did a post for 580WIBW.com that was done. My post-game wrap-up was done with 2 minutes left, and then Lamar Jackson nearly ruined the entire thing.
That's tough. Get me rewrite.
My on second thought is I thought I was a cultured guy in music, but apparently I am not at all, and I will have to culture myself this weekend and report back.
Listen to some Rush on the way out to CJ Hamilton Field tonight. That's where I'm headed for our Lewis Toyota Game of the Week. Silver Lake and Rossville, the War on 24 on our sister station, Classic Country 106.9. Coming up at 6:45 tonight. One more hour, 580 Sports Talk. Brendan and Spencer have you the rest of the way coming up here on 580 WIBW.
Sports Talk for this Friday, for this week. I am Brendan Dworzinski. Across the glass from me, it is Spencer Dupuis. It is a feel-good football Friday afternoon. We've got some NFL action tonight, ladies and gentlemen. He's back tonight. Jordan Love, the chosen one, the latest in the dynasty. He is back. Quarterback dynasty. I know we don't have a ring since 2010, but that's fine. He is back in action tonight. Packers versus Eagles. We are fired up about that. We've got high school football tonight. Spencer, you are going to be there. What a way to be ingratiated into high school football in Shawnee County, in Northeast Kansas, in the great state of Kansas. The War on 24, Silver Lake, Rossville, head-to-head tonight from C.J. Hamilton Field in Silver Lake. You can listen to that game on our sister station, Country 106.9 KTPK. Pre-game coverage at 6:45, kickoff at 7 o'clock. Dan Lucero is on his way right now. Spencer's going to be there in just a little bit. And again, that game can be heard over on Country 106.9. How fired up are you for this one?
I'm pretty fired up. I was talking to somebody that we talked to for the Ag Talk over on the Ag Network, Tom Leffler. He owns Leffler Commodities. And I was telling him that it was a busy day because I was, running around preparing for first night of high school football. And he's like, what game do you have? And I told him, and he was like, that's good. That's a great one to start with.
It's so much history, so much
tradition. Then he proceeded to tell me that's been going on. That rivalry's been huge since I was a kid. And he said that was in the early 70s.
13 state titles between the two. It's going to be a blast. And again, 7 o'clock kickoff for the War on 24 tonight. In this final hour of 580 Sports Talk today, we're going to get to our 580 Sports Talk headlines, quick Royals preview, some final thoughts on Chiefs Ravens with our final word as well. And starting just after the bottom of the hour, we have got our first 580 Preps High School Football Coaches Club of the 2024 season. Yes, the Coaches Club is back, and it is now heard on game night. So if you didn't catch this earlier on in the show, here is how it's going to work with the Coaches Club this evening. Our Dan Lucero spoke to all 8 city head coaches tonight. All 8 of them, from Care Paravel to Topeka High to West to Park to Seaman, everybody in between. All will join Dan Lucero between 5:30 and 6:30 tonight. That will fill up the rest of 580 Sports Talk and our overtime segment tonight. That will lead you into Royals baseball this evening and right up to the start of our high school football broadcast over on Country 106.9 KTPK Topeka. So be listening for that coming up starting just after the bottom of this hour here on 580 WIBW and 580 Sports Talk. That will be a regular feature on 580 Sports Talk through the high school football season. We are so excited to bring you that here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. But before we get there, before we get to the Coaches Club, high school football, Royals baseball, all that, it is time, Spencer, for today's 580 Sports Talk headlines. In fact, let's start with Royals baseball, shall we? Opening up a series with the Minnesota Twins. This is a massive one for both franchises. Injury news, good news for the Royals. Hunter Renfroe back. He's off the injured list. He is in the lineup. He is going to play right field and bat 5th tonight for the Boys in Blue at home at Kauffman Stadium. Here's the rest of your lineup for the Royals. Tommy Pham leads off in left. Bobby Witt Jr. hits second, playing short per usual. Salvi's catching. He'll hit third. MJ Melendez DHing and hitting 4th. Okay. Renfroe hitting 5th. Massey's playing second base. He's in the 6th hole. Yuli Gurriel's good to go. He's at first base batting 7th. Michael Garcia will get the start at third base tonight in the 8th spot. And per usual, manning the 9 hole, Kyle Isbell. He will also be patrolling center field. All in support of Cole Reagans, who gets the start for the Royals tonight. It'll be Daniel Zebby Matthews going for the Twins. Tomorrow night's matchup, Alec Marsh versus Bailey Ober. And then on Sunday, Michael Waka will take on Simeon Woods Richardson. Those are your 3 pitching matchups. National TV tonight. The game will be on Apple TV Plus. So if you're a subscriber, you have the free trial, whatever, That is where you can watch the game. If you don't have it or don't want to have Apple TV Plus, listen along here on 580 WIBW.
But
Tomorrow's
also,
game,
you can get a free trial
Yes.
on the Royals social media if you have not done it before.
Yes, so if you're on social media, you want to watch the game tonight, that is how you can get a free trial of Apple TV Plus. Tomorrow's game is on Fox as well.
Yeah, just nationally on Fox. There'll be no Bally Sports KC broadcast.
So that's pretty cool. Get a national game.
Yeah.
This is a huge game, and it'll be Alec Marsh, Bailey Obert again tomorrow. Tonight, pregame coverage begins at 6:30, first pitch at 7:10, right here on your home for the Royals Radio Network, ever since the Royals took the field for the first time back in 1969, 580 WIBW.
You get to flip between Fox and FS1 tomorrow evening.
Yeah.
Before KU on FS1 and the Royals on Fox.
Yeah, it's going to be a big weekend for our local programs, to say the least. All right, Spencer, what's your first headline today?
My first headline is we've got another player that's the highest paid at their position, as it just seems like every single time a new contract extension comes up, that player that gets the extension is the highest paid player. And this time it's Dolphins all-pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey. He agreed to a huge extension, 3 years, $72.3 million, to become the highest paid corner in the league. That's $24.1 million per year in the deal. I believe he now, over the lifetime of his contract, will have made more than Darrelle Revis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jalen Ramsey's awesome. He's a great player, former All-Pro. I believe he's got multiple first-team All-Pros, if I'm not mistaken. He's been banged up off and on over the last couple of years, and he's older, so obviously he's not quite the same player. I mean, he's 29. He'll turn 30 on October 24th. Yeah, so in his career, he has been a 3-time first-team All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler.
Wow.
And in fact, he's been a Pro Bowler ever since his second season in the league in 2017.
Yeah, this is kind of a cool nugget from Ian Rappaport. So the 3-year, $72.3 million extension includes $55.3 million guaranteed. It was agreed upon a couple of days ago, but Ramsey wanted to wait until he was back on the practice field to actually sign it and release it. Safe to say he is going to play on Sunday.
Is this a good decision by the Dolphins?
I don't know.
Like, you want to keep great talent, and I still think Jalen Ramsey is a great talent. I don't think he's the best cornerback in the league anymore, but I do think he is a great talent. That being said, how many times have we talked, Spencer, this offseason about this Miami team and said they've got holes that they need to fill that they've never filled? Like, they've got speed. They've got a fun offense. They're probably going to put up a ton of points. They've got some nice defensive pieces, although letting Christian Wilkins go, I think, was a mistake. You're wrapping up a lot of money in a corner who's about to turn 30. And when corners go, they go quickly. So I don't know that this was the smartest decision, but maybe it felt like something that they had to do down in Miami.
Yeah, and I think that might be what they felt like, is like, we got to keep this guy. We got to keep part of our team. We have parts of our team in different spots that we wanted to lock up. But it's a big, it's that last, they say right around 30 is your last big contract. Mm-hmm. So he chose to stay with the Dolphins for this one instead of go elsewhere.
One other NFL note in terms of player contracts, the Buffalo Bills, they are extending their right tackle, Spencer Brown. He got a new 4-year deal today, originally reported by Mike Garafolo, former third-round pick. Have not seen the money on Spencer Brown. He's fine. He's a nice player. Okay, here we go. We've got the money in. Nope, maybe we don't. Okay, we do know that he last year was the player who earned the most performance-based bonus pay in the NFL. So he played well enough that he actually ended up earning over $900,000 extra dollars, and now ended up getting a big payday on top of it. So good for Spencer Brown.
Yeah, that's weird that the specifics aren't out. You can't find them anywhere.
Yeah, kind of surprising. Usually that comes out a lot quicker, but maybe that one was just kind of under the radar. Next headline for me today on our 580 Sports Talk headlines. How about some tennis? Wouldn't that be nice? We do know that we are guaranteed to have a men's finalist representing the United States of America at 6 o'clock tonight. Taylor Fritz versus Francis Tiafoe, the 12th seed versus the 20th seed from Arthur Ashe Stadium in Flushing, Queens. We will have an American who vies for the U.S. Open tennis title. Do you know the last time an American won the U.S. Open?
I do not know.
Do you know who it was who won the last U.S. Open? Who was an American?
Serena Williams?
For the men.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Yeah, Serena won plenty. Yeah, hasn't been quite as long for the women.
Yeah, that's true.
Andy Roddick, 2003.
Yeah, I was not watching tennis when I was that 7?
I think you would have been
7, 6.
Yeah, 5
or 6.
or 6.
So I was
when's
not
your birthday?
December 12th.
So yeah, you would have been 5.
Yeah, it would have been 5. I was not comprehending tennis at that point, or many sports.
I wasn't watching a whole lot of tennis at the time either, but it's been a while. 21 years since we last had an American man win the U.S. Open. The other semifinal is going on right now. It's Italy versus Great Britain. Yannick Sinner, he is currently up 2-0, and he's up 5-2 in the third set over Jack Draper of the UK. So it looks like the number 1 player in the world, Yannick Sinner, is going to take on one of the Americans. On the women's side, we already know which American woman is going to vie for the U.S. Open title. That is Jessica Pegula, who started out really slowly yesterday, fell behind in her first set 6-1, then bounced back, won sets 2 and 3. So she advances on. She has made it to the quarters many times, finally won a semifinal. She will contend for her first major championship against, and I don't know her first name, Arina Sabalenka. That is who won in straight sets over Emma Navarro, another American, in the second women's semifinal. So they are going to go head-to-head for the women's final at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Who you got?
Pegula.
Yeah! Look at the American to win here.
Yeah.
An American did win last year as well. I believe it was Coco Gauff who won last year. Jessica Pegula, do you know who her parents are?
The owner of the Bills?
Yes. Terry Pegula and I can't remember.
That's the only time I've ever heard that last name anywhere.
Yeah, Kim and Terry Pegula, the billionaire owners of the Bills. Their daughter is Jessica Pegula, who will vie for a U.S. Open title. So that's your tennis update for the weekend from Flushing, Queens.
Yeah. My next headline here, we have a premiere date for the highly anticipated Hallmark movie, Holiday Touchdown, A Chiefs Love Story. It's coming to Hallmark Channel Saturday, November 30th, 8/7 Central, and December 1st or 2nd here? December 2nd, we will have the official 580 Sports Talk movie review.
We have all agreed that we are going to watch the movie with our significant others. We have all come to an agreement. We are going to do that. Does your girlfriend enjoy Hallmark Christmas movies?
I'm not sure, but I can tell you for a fact that she is looking forward to this.
Okay, good.
We've talked about it, and she said, we're going to watch it together, right? And I was like, yes, I guess.
Love that.
And then we talked about it on the show.
I believe Dan's wife is a fan of the Hallmark Christmas movies. My wife likes some of them. We've never actually watched one together, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm trying to remember which players are involved. I know Trey Smith's going to be in it.
I think Andy Reid's in it.
Andy Reid is going to be in it, yeah. Shocking they couldn't get Travis Kelce.
Well, his mom's going to be in it.
Yes, Mrs. Kelce is going to appear.
Donna.
Oh, my gosh, that is too funny. One more headline for me for today. Some injury updates from around the NFL. Russell Wilson, despite being named starting quarterback for the Steelers, he is questionable for week 1. He continues to deal with a calf injury. He re-aggravated an early camp injury yesterday during practice, so it is not known if he is going to go. Wilson said he was optimistic earlier today, however, was still non-committal about his ability to play. Quote, I just felt a little tight. I just wanted to be smart about it. Obviously, we play the game on Sunday. I'm hoping I get to be in it, obviously, but just trying to get ready to go. I'm trying to get my body ready to go and rock and roll, so we're doing everything we can. Yeah, that's a lot of words to not say anything at all. Justin Fields will start if indeed Russell Wilson is not able to go.
That would be funny.
Additionally, another notable one here from the Cincinnati Bengals. Their injury report for tomorrow is out. They will be missing T. Higgins. He is doubtful with a hamstring injury. I believe he was downgraded. Meanwhile, Jamar Chase officially out with rest. That is what they designated him as. He is questionable. He said today it was his call whether or not he is going to play as he looks for a new contract extension. Think Chase plays?
I don't know.
All right, let's do a hypothetical here because you and I both had them as our survivor pool pick. Bengals versus Patriots. Do they still win without Chase and Higgins?
I think so.
Do they cover 8?
I don't know about covering. I still think they win, though.
I agree with you. Covering, I don't know. But win, yeah. The Patriots are going to be really, really bad. Any other headlines for you?
Not really a headline because nothing's going to come out of it. This is the second time, I believe, in the last week that he has tried out for a team. But the Browns have tried out free agent receiver Kadarius Toney. Will he sign with the Browns?
The allure of the idea of Kadarius Toney continues forever.
You know, it pops up. So sometimes I miss news, so I'll click on that For You tab on Twitter. And it's given me Landon Reinhardt's video from last night of Isaiah Likely cussing at Chiefs fans.
Okay, he cussed. I did see he had some words. I did not see what he said, though.
And then something about Marshall's game at Virginia Tech. Next one, Field Yates. The Browns have tried out free agent receiver Kadarius Toney.
The allure of the concept of Kadarius Toney remains undefeated. That does it for our 580 Sports Talk headlines today. Spencer Dupuis is on his way, I believe, for the first time ever to Silver Lake, Kansas.
Yes, I didn't know that existed until I broadcasted their girls basketball state tournament
action, right? Should be a banger tonight. It's the War on 24, Silver Lake versus Rossville. 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff. You can catch all the action on our sister station, Country 106.9 tonight. Spencer, enjoy the War on 24. You and I are going to take a quick break. When we come back from this stoppage, though, we've got our final word, our final thoughts on Chiefs versus Ravens, some last NFL and college football thoughts for the weekend. Then we'll take you to the 580 Preps High School Football Coaches Club for Week 1. That's all coming up on this Feel Good Football Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. We're wrapping up the main part of 580 Sports Talk here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. Don't forget that coming up tonight, 6:30, we've got Royals baseball. Pre-game coverage will begin at the bottom of the hour. Next hour, anyway. 7:10 first pitch, Royals versus Twins tonight here on 580 WIBW. 6:45 over on our sister station, Country 106.9. We will have pregame coverage start time for our high school football action, our Lewis Toyota High School Football Game of the Week. For week 1, it will be Silver Lake versus Rossville, the War on 24. Kickoff at 7. Spencer Dupuis along with Dan Lucero on the call of that one. And coming up here in just about 8 to 9 minutes, we will begin the week 1 edition of the 580 Preps High School Football Coaches Club. All 8 Topeka City high school football head coaches joining our Dan Lucero to talk all things high school football. We are so excited for it. The return of the Coaches Club that will lead you into our nightly programming here on 580. Again, that comes up in just about 8 minutes. The final word officially for today, I do want to get to that game last night between the Kansas City Chiefs against the Baltimore Ravens. And I understand the frustration that Ravens players have after a game like that. I understand saying, well, we didn't even give our best shot. It's going to be the worst game we play all year. And wanting to fight guys on the Chiefs side. I get it. Because you know what? It's got to be frustrating when you just know that the other quarterback has your number. Patrick Mahomes is now 5-1 against the Ravens in 6 games in his career. You know the only time he lost, if my memory serves me right, would have been 2021. Would have been the 2021 team. Week 3, if I remember correctly. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a couple of fumbles. Chiefs should have won, didn't. That was when the consternation sort of set in for that 2021 team. That was obviously great, but not great enough to make it to a Super Bowl, lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. So I get the frustration. If you're the Ravens, if you've been there for years, you get your ass kicked regularly. Chiefs own you, truly own you. Chris Jones owns that offensive line. Patrick Mahomes owns that defense. So I get why they were frustrated. I get why they feel fed up. Maybe next time they'll play better, and maybe next time they will actually win the game. But I understand where the frustration comes from. I thought the Chiefs were the better team all night. We talked about this during our Chiefs Instant Reaction show. We would love for you to go check it out over on our YouTube feed. Go to youtube.com, search 580 Sports Talk. Subscribe to the channel while you are there. It's football season. That means it's instant reaction season for all the games we attend in person, as well as all Chiefs games. And I was saying last night, I thought the Chiefs were the better team from the jump. I thought they executed better. I thought they had a better game plan. I thought they looked like they were just generally playing better on both sides of the ball. They were better coached, and I like John Harbaugh, but Andy Reid is not going to get out-coached all that often, certainly not last night. And even with the drive at the end of the game by the Ravens, even with the final score being just a 1-score differential, I think the Chiefs were by far the best team in that game, and the analytical numbers and the advanced metrics back that up as well. So a good start to the year for the Chiefs. They'll get a little time off before they have to go take on Cincinnati on Sunday Night Football in Week 2. Always better to start off the year with a fun win as opposed to being the Ravens and starting the year with a very mad loss. Other games coming up this weekend. Obviously, KU is in action. That is tomorrow night in Champaign. We're popping bottles. We're going to the Champaign Room, folks, in Central Illinois, taking on the Illinois Fighting Illini. I like KU. The spread right now is 4.5. I like the Jayhawks to win that one, to be completely honest with you. I'm confused about the line. I figured it would be bigger. I don't love this Illinois team. Meanwhile, K-State going down to New Orleans, taking on Tulane. Tulane 2-0 against K-State, all time. I like the Cats in this one, though. Transition year for Tulane. That's a good program. They're going to play hard for John Summerall. I still like K-State to win this one. I think K-State's on a bit of a warpath early this season, so I will take the Cats to win outright there. NFL action this weekend. It starts tonight. I have tried to keep myself in check, ladies and gentlemen, friends, Romans, countrymen. But if you're watching on the YouTube stream, you can see me rocking my Jordan Love t-shirt today. I've got the Super Bowl 31 hat on, Packers over Patriots, 35-21. It is Packer football tonight. I think the boys in green and gold are going to take down the Philadelphia Eagles. That game is on Peacock only. So I apologize if you were dying to watch the Green Bay Packers take on the Philadelphia Eagles tonight. That one is only on Peacock. And I remember from the postseason last year, there's a number of you that are not fans of games streaming on Peacock only, but that is where that game will be televised tonight. Some fun action from around the NFL the rest of the weekend. One of the games, I think, it was one of my picks on our Prairie Band casino and resort sportsbook picks. I went with the Colts as a 3-point underdog at home against the Texans. That might be one of my most intriguing games of the weekend. That would be one I would put a pin in. I can tell you, while we have a second before we get to our final break of 580 Sports Talk today, our broadcasts that we are getting on Sunday, CBS at noon, we're going to see Cincinnati versus New England. Spencer and I were just talking about that game. Will Higgins and Will Chase be able to play? Sounds like a certain no for T. Higgins. Joe Burrow also returning there. The early noon game on Fox on Sunday, we will get Falcons versus Steelers. Steelers might have to start Justin Fields instead of Russell Wilson due to injury. And then the late game, pretty much the entire country is getting Cowboys versus Browns. Tom Brady's debut as a color analyst for Fox TV. So that's a look ahead to your football weekend, a look back to the Chiefs win last night, and that is going to wrap up the main portion of 580 Sports Talk today. I'm Brendan Dworzinski for Spencer Dupuis for Dan Lucero. Let's get to a break. When we come back, it's the week 1 edition of the 580 Preps High School Football Coaches Club with Dan Lucero and all of our city head coaches. That's on the other side of this break here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW. For the first time this high school football season, the 580 Preps High School Football Coaches Club is upon us. Our Dan Lucero spoke with all 8 city high school football head coaches this week in advance of our Lewis Toyota Game of the Week and week 1 around the state of Kansas. And we are going to wrap up 580 Sports Talk today and every Friday throughout the high school football season with the 580 Preps Coaches Club. All 8 city coaches all joining us today as we get ready for week 1. And what a great slate of games from 1A to 3A to 5A to 6A, all of our city teams. We will touch on them all between now and 6:30. So without further ado, let's send it it to Dan Lucero with Care Paravel's Doug Von Ura.
You mentioned another, the size of the field. The most obvious one, there are 3 more players on the field per side in 11-man football compared to 8-man. But your first game is against West Franklin, and bit of a interesting wrinkle that they don't have any film on you playing 11-man other than maybe the Jamboree, but obviously you've got film on them at the 11-man level. In what ways are they going to challenge you on Friday night? What will you have to do well to start your season 1-0?
The challenge is, especially in this first game, we don't have a lot of film, just because no one's played a game yet fully. And so just trying to adjust to size. Size is going to be an issue for us. We're not only small, we say, we're not only small, but we're small. And so we just got a lot of young guys. And so I think challenges of hopefully preventing injuries and not those things coming to limit, okay, who's going in next. But West Franklin itself, I think they've got some really good backs. They've got some receivers, just what I've seen. Mostly it's just from last year, things that I've perceived. They're kind of like us in some of their throwing scheme. I just don't know how much they've changed in this year. That's the difficulty in the first game. They don't know us, we don't know them. So we're going to kind of do some of that finding out tonight. But I think they're solid in their skills positions. They've got some good sized linemen as well. So it's just going to come down to being physical with them and playing them at their home place and trying to not let that dictate us, but we dictate our own game toward them.
Bill Arnold, Hayden.
Bill, if you fall 1 game shy of a title, I know that the entire preparation to the next season is all about making that next step. What have you seen your players do as far as taking ownership of being the group that is able to make that next step? How have you seen their training, their preparation for this season maybe increase even ever so slightly in order to try and be that team that makes the next step?
I think the kids have, we've had a good off season in the weight room. I'm not going to say that we used anything motivation wise. You get that close, try and do extra. We had the same goals that we have every year. I think, we didn't really do anything different than we normally have been doing in the off season. But the kids have. They've worked extremely hard. I got a good group of seniors that have done a good job leading by example. And I mean, it's been a good off season. We're excited to get things started.
You've got a very tough non-district schedule. Your first 4 games are going to be a test, including going to Eudora on Friday night to open your season. Because you have front-loaded this schedule with some good teams, really good programs, some 4A programs, what have you emphasized as a coach as far as preparing for the challenges of this first game, particularly against Eudora?
Oh, I think the kids understood. We wanted to upgrade the schedule. In years past, we were always in the Centennial League, and we felt like that prepared us well for a postseason run. And we picked up some different schools here at the beginning. Hopefully, we'll get tested and figure out where some weak spots are before we get into district play and stuff like that. But I think as far as going into Eudora Friday night, I mean, it should be a good game. I mean, they're a team that, a program that they get in the playoffs. I mean, they've had the misfortune of running into some juggernauts, the last 3 or 4 years. They win a playoff game. They end up playing Miege, played them real close. I think it was a 1-score game. And last year they ran into an undefeated Atchison High team. So they're definitely a very worthy opponent, and we'll have our hands full for sure.
Your team was all about next man up last year. You had some critical injuries, but had some younger players step into important roles and really show that they were capable and helped guide you to that state championship game, particularly at quarterback. When you lost Jet Wallmeyer, Connor Hanukkah stepped in and did a fine job at the helm of the offense. How do you make sure you get the most out of both Wallmeyer and Hanukkah's talents on offense this year?
Well, I think, you'll see Connor playing some different positions as well. I mean, he'll play some quarterback too. I don't know. Instagram does a great job of showing you plays. Dan Casey on Instagram has always got dual quarterback plays and stuff that we've kind of been playing around with a little bit. And Connor's both of them, we talked at the beginning of the summer when we started going to camps and stuff and said, look, this thing, I want you guys to be best friends out here, but I also want you to compete against each other. I mean, that's how you get better, and I think they both did a great job taking that approach. They both done some really nice things this summer, and even in our jamboree the other day, I thought both quarterbacks played pretty well. It's definitely a luxury. We going into last year, we really weren't quite sure where Connor was at. But man, he stepped up and played really well through the playoffs. And, it's just nice having 2 guys that you feel real comfortable with running the offense.
Jermaine Monroe, Highland Park.
Jermaine, I know you're really excited about this group, really excited about this season to come. What have you been most encouraged by when it comes to what you've seen in fall camp so far?
Just mainly the leadership, having the upperclassmen take a ownership in the things that we do, and and having this senior class for 4 years that has been a blessing for us that we've been looking forward to, and having the opportunity to be on the field with them.
You have, as you mentioned, had this senior class now. It's your 4th year at Highland Park. So these are your guys that entered the school, entered the program when you got there. How do you notice that they have grown as football players and grown in their understanding of what it is that you expect from them as members of the program?
I think they understand the vision. They know the mission. Every day it's always some type of struggle, but we know how to overcome those things. I think boys also have put themselves in a situation where they might have to choose the program over a friendship, or they have to choose the program over making a decision. And I think they have learned those things, that it's a team before me, and that has been the mission that we have been pushing forward.
One of the biggest things that has helped your improvement here over the last couple of years at Highland Park has been you've been able to develop linemen, and you've got a good class of linemen this year. Talk to me about some of those guys, either way, offense and defense, and a lot of them both ways, in the trenches, and how you expect those veterans in the trenches to help set a tone for you this year.
Yeah, first I have to start with Elijah Thomas. Both sides of the ball. He can play tackle, pulling guard. He can play D tackle. He can play DN. He's just one of those versatile guys. That a big strong kid that can move. The other one is Andreas. We call him Tank. Perez. He is our third year. He's a junior, but a third year starter at center. So he knows our play calls, our checks. He knows how to get guys in their spots. We're hoping that Adrian Burney, he's bouncing back from an injury, but his presence there with the team and stuff has been great. Tayshawn Ralster, he's a quick tackle. He played tackle for us. He started last year as a freshman, and now he's a starter on the offense. So just leaning on those guys. Our last guy will be Joshua Weeks. He's also another junior, big, strong kid, and again, can play both sides of the ball, but he'll mainly be playing defense.
You had three different players take some snaps at quarterback last year. I know you're looking for somebody to maybe take ownership of that position and all that it entails, not just the production, the athleticism part of it, but the leadership as well. Who have you seen maybe take the reins of your offense, and who's going to lead that group out on the field Friday night?
Before I say the person's name, I want to tip my hat to Craig Sipple. He's a very mature, team-oriented guy. It was a battle between him and Donnie Fox, and he made a decision. He actually it was a neck-and-neck battle in the summer. And he made a decision, sat down with me. He said, "Hey, Coach, I think the defense really needs me," and the defense does. He said, "The defense needs me." He said, "Donnie doesn't play any other position but quarterback, and he's also has another year. He's a junior. I'm a senior." He said, "I just want to focus on defense and let him. I'll be his support, but I want to let him go ahead and step into that role." So he basically, as an upperclassman, he made the decision for me. And he's actually been a great player to have as Donnie's backup. And Donnie has been learning a lot from Craig, and I think he's in a position to go ahead and lead us from the beginning of the season, hopefully to the end.
You lead off the season with Wyandotte on Friday night. In what ways do you expect that they will be a difficult challenge, and what will you have to do to start this season 1-0?
To start the season 1-0, we need to do what we do. We know exactly what the game plan is. Every team in the league knows what we're going to do, but we want them to know what we do, and we want to be great at it. Wyandotte always has athletes. They have athletes in unique positions. Last year, their DNs were extremely athletic. I think it was the two best kids on their team. There was times where they put some athletic guys interior. So we know that they're going to have athletes. They probably be close to matching with us. But I think if we just continue to do what we do and stay on track, I think we should be successful.
Jared Swafford, Seaman.
Jared, I know that last year you had some games that really could have gone either way that you didn't manage to come out on the right side of in the regular season. But in your playoff run, you had that tight win over DeSoto. So all told, looking back at last year, what do you hope your guys learned about playing in close games, being in tight situations that can help you get better in those spots and turn some of those one-possession games into wins this time around?
Yeah, I think it's all about confidence and believing in what we've been doing. And we put ourselves in a lot of games, like you mentioned, where we had leads at halftime and just weren't able to finish it off. And we did have some young guys playing last year and some inexperience, which is no excuse. But we feel like based off of that experience from last year, we started to get a little bit better and a little bit better throughout the season. And so I think just confidence in what we're doing and believing in our ability to finish those games off is going to help us out this season.
I think if you ask any football coach what they could have back, if they could bring back a position group or a spot on the field, they might say in any order, I'd love to have a returning starter at quarterback, and I'd love to have all 5 of my offensive linemen back. That's a luxury that you enjoy this season. I want to ask you about those guys up front in particular. How have you seen them improved, and how good do you think you can be up front offensively?
it's a very hard working group. They put in a lot of extra time in the off season, just like everybody else, but even some extra time with our own O-line coach, Coach Nickel. And, they kind of took last year where we were starting a bunch of new guys and we had some young guys, and they kept battling and got better and better. And that experience, I think, is going to lend to more confidence. And we've put a huge emphasis on being able to run the ball this offseason and throughout our summer. So I'm really proud of that group and the way they battled so far through camp, and really looking forward to them getting out on the field and taking that experience with them as we get ready for Friday.
Starting quarterback back as well, and that's kind of the headliner. Max Huston had a wonderful season last year, a 39-2 touchdown to interception ratio, was the offensive player of the year in the United Kansas Conference. He's really now just starting the process where he gets all in on football, and that's kind of an exciting thought because he still has a ceiling. He can still get better. In what ways have you seen him grow as a passer as he prepares to start his senior year?
Well, I think just the way that he reads defenses, and it is an amazing luxury to have him back. And like you mentioned, having the O-line back and that continuity there. And we bring back some really nice weapons for Max this year to throw the ball to, and again, being able to run the ball. So, the way he's worked on his progression and understanding what defenses are giving and just increased film study, and he's made it a huge point of emphasis for himself. It's worth noting his leadership, while he was a good leader before, now he's became a great leader. And so a lot of our guys turn to him, and that's going to help him, I think, even take the next step as a quarterback and helping run our offense this season.
You're replacing a little bit more on the defensive side of the football, but you have experience back in the trenches. Caden Jordan was terrific last season. You get him back for his senior campaign. What have you noticed about his improvement, and how does he kind of change the way offenses have to operate given his presence and his playmaking ability right in the middle of that line?
Caden's a stud, and he's a phenomenal kid, and he works incredibly hard in the weight room and in the classroom, and he's easy to root for. And so he works his tail off, as a lot of our guys do, but, man, he's pretty special. And I genuinely don't think he's a kid that you're able to single block a lot of times, and he actually moves incredibly well for his size, and he studies the film. He doesn't take it as just I'm a nose. I mean, he gets to learn offensive linemen and understands why we're running the scheme that we're running, and it kind of helps set him apart. And he's just a phenomenal kid who works his tail off.
You've got Piper for week one, a road contest in the United Kansas Conference. Always a solid program, so a good test right out of the gate. What do you hope that you can be as a group really good at right away, or at least good enough to set a tone in and execute at a good level for that first 48 minutes of football?
Well, with everything that you're able to do in the summer now and the amount of time that we spend with our kids and the dedication that they put forth, and we expect to execute at a high level. And I think without a doubt, we're going to see an increased attitude on the defensive side of the ball. I think we're going to see increased execution on the offensive side. We expect our guys to get out there and absolutely compete for 4 quarters every single night. And we know that Piper every single year is going to have a group that's going to play incredibly hard. They're going to be tough. And so we've got to match that physicality. We've got to match that intensity. And we expect that it's going to be one heck of a game, and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Coach Swafford, and thank you to all of our high school football coaches we have heard already tonight on the 580 Preps High School Coaches Club. We need to get to a quick break here at the top of the hour for our news as we wrap up the 580 Sports Talk segment of our Friday programming. But coming up after the news, we will get back to the 580 Preps High School Football Coaches Club with Dan Lucero as he speaks to all 8 of our city head football coaches tonight, the first Friday night high school football week of the season. It's one of the best days of the entire year. Don't forget, we've got Royals baseball coming up a little bit later on tonight as well. 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock first pitch. Of course, our high school football coverage is coming up tonight over on Country 1069. So let's get to a quick break. We'll come back after the news, and we've got part 2 of the 580 Preps High School Football Coaches Club on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW.